tuned in. Cleveland's finest podcast. Live from the Red Label XXL studio. Hashtag Desire.
Well, let me give it to you like this.
I want to know, who's okay with getting punched?
I'm on the edge, I'm on the edge, pushing me into the red, right at the ledge, right at the fence, better fuck off in the check, cause in the back, never forget, fuck with it off with that head, I represent, yeah I represent, don't need a card in the red. I'm on the edge, pushing me into the red, right at the ledge, right at the fence, better fuck off in the check, cause in the back, never forget, fuck with it off with that head, I represent. Yeah, I represent. Don't have a part in the red.
The game's on change outside of the third precinct. Takes the group off there and then people.
They call on everybody to rise. They had no idea what they were calling for. So I said, Rob J, living this on Cleveland's finest. And I'm bringing y'all with me.
What it do, motherfucker?
Now, when I first talked to you, it stuck out. Cameraman Joe Exotic.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can tell the listeners exactly what it is that that you did have done, and we can go on from there. I mean, with watching the series, there's got to be a lot of experiences and things seen.
Yeah, there's a lot more that happened that isn't even shown. What you guys saw was actually pretty tame. So I was Joe Exotic's personal cameraman for JoeExotic.tv, his live web series. I wasn't a part of the documentary, but a lot of the archived footage that you saw, I shot a good bit of that. My job was to follow Joe around the zoo and anybody else and film anything that I saw going on. And that could have been anything from them cleaning cages to doing any of the crazy weird stuff that you saw in the documentary. Everybody on the zoo, I wouldn't say everybody, most of the people on the zoo, but there's a few people like me, I wasn't one of them, but were ex-cons. There was everybody from, small petty stuff like larceny or petty theft to full-on murders and drug traffickers and all kinds of crazy stuff that happened there.
Now, is this a result of him posting on Craigslist and just asking any and everyone, or was it friends of friends, or was there a reason behind that?
So how he got most of the people to join the zoo was usually it was through a Craigslist ad. I joined through a Facebook ad. He had hired a guy who runs a small production studio out of, I think it was Dallas, might have been Austin. And he came on to the show for like a week to be a producer. And I guess he wanted too much than Joe wanted to pay. But anyways, he had posted an ad on Facebook through a filmmakers forum because originally I was doing commercial work. I was doing advertising and things like that. And so I went and interviewed with Joe, and that's how I got the job. Most of the people that got hired on, though, was either through Craigslist or they would they'd be right out of prison or something, and they didn't have anywhere else to go. So Joe would offer them a place to stay and a job on the park.
Now, I had seen there was a claim that there were either sex with animals or around animals. What did you, you said personal camera guy, did you see a lot of those things that were kind of naughty?
So the sex with animals thing, that I don't know anything about. He did any of that kind of stuff behind closed doors with people that he was really, really close to. So that I know of, I don't know anything about that, but it doesn't surprise me whatsoever. I could see that happening.
And as far as like drug use, I mean, was that something that was kind of on the low, or I had heard that he was supplying or even paying some employees with.
So about that, so there was a lot of drug users on the park, but it was kind of behind a closed doors thing. You didn't know that they were doing drugs unless you've been around someone that was on drugs. Like
Right.
Joe, he was constantly on meth. You wouldn't know it unless someone told you, or you saw him tweaking and you knew what tweaking looked like.
Right.
Most of the people there on the park, I wouldn't say most, there was a good couple that weren't close to Joe, but they were still doing drugs off the park. Well, actually, they'd probably be doing it more in the trailers than off the park, but stuff like that. But yeah, Joe, he like Travis, he was hooked on meth before he even got to the park, and he came to the park to kind of get a new life for himself and I guess get off of it. And obviously, that didn't happen.
And that was the guy that accidentally shot himself, right?
Yeah, Travis was an awesome guy. He was one of the nicest people I ever met. He's super, super smart.
Were you around during that time?
I left like 2 months before that happened.
Okay, man, that was a plot twist, man, and just insane and crazy. Well, Carol Baskins. Now, it just came out the other day. Carol Baskin was awarded the property, an all mobile. I'm not sure. The only thing I don't know is where the animals are going to go. But knowing Joe, how do you think his reaction is? And how well did you know Joe? I'm sorry. How well did you know Joe? Was he kind of?
I knew Joe for about 6 months. We weren't like super close, but I was around him every day for all day. So I knew him pretty well. As for where the animals are going, so how that whole lawsuit happened, she's only getting the property. The animals still belong to Jeff. And Jeff supposedly is still opening a park over in Thackerville, Oklahoma, which is over by the Oklahoma-Texas border. So he's going to move the animals there, but the issue is he only has 120 days, it's only 4 months, to move 210 tigers and over 80 other animals to that zoo.
Wow.
That I know of, Jeff is still broke. So I don't know how they're going to do that, and I can tell you right now that it's going to be nearly impossible to move all those animals in 4 months. It's just not doable, especially with 210 tigers. So what's probably going to end up happening is he's probably going to move most of them and either try to donate or sell the others to try to make as much money as he can, or they're going to end up getting left on the zoo, and I guess the default to Carol. The other thing is he doesn't take any of the vehicles either. So like, I don't know if those belong to Carol right now or if he still has 120 days to use the vehicles. So if that's the case, then he can move the animals. If not, he's kind of screwed. As for Joe's reaction, I think he's going to be more upset that Carol owns the property, but at the same time, he's already kind of given up on the zoo. He doesn't care about the zoo anymore. It's more about his legacy than anything. So I don't quite know what his reaction is going to be. But the other thing is Carol has closed Big Cat Rescue because of all the hate that's going on.
Wow.
Supposedly they're going to reopen once all this stuff blows over, but I don't think it's going to blow over anytime soon because you got like 3 other movies coming out about Joe. There's like 2 other TV series that's coming out about Joe. This stuff's going to be going on for at least another 3 to 5 years. So the truth of the matter is, even if she gets since she has the property, she's not going to be able to open another zoo in Oklahoma. It's going to fail immediately. So Joe won. Simple as that.
You think? No.
I mean, definitely. Like, she's not going to be able to make any money. She's going to have to close or sell her animals, which she can't really do because of FDA regulations. Or she's going to have to donate them something because right now the only way they're getting fed is through, either donations or through her money from her estate. So truth of the matter is she's pretty much out of business. And if Jeff can't move those animals, and since he has that kind of sketchy partnership with the other guy that's already hating him, that could fall through. And if that's the case, he's out of business. So literally Joe won from behind bars, which is just insane.
What now, Carol Baskin? Do you think she killed her husband?
Definitely.
I have to say, there's just looking at a lot of footage, even her talking about it separate from the documentary and all that, and just the way that her choice words and behavior. There's something to it, and I heard that they opened up the case and they're looking into it. But as far as I see, man, every animal caretaker and person involved in that, was just the same as far as Joe's concerned. I don't think there was a hero or a villain. They were all pretty much out for personal ego and.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody that you saw has dirt under their nails. Nobody's clean. There isn't a hero. There isn't a villain. They're all messed up people. There's something about tigers. It just kind of screws with your head. I don't know what it is, but when you own that many big cats, it's kind of like monkey people. They're crazy. I don't know how to explain it.
So did you ever get to meet any of the other ones like Doc Antle or Carol at all?
I haven't actually met any of them like in person, like sat down and had a conversation with them, but I have, I wouldn't say I met Carol, but I've seen Carol. I haven't met Doc personally. And I didn't meet the other guy. I didn't even know about him until the documentary, what's his name?
The Vegas guy?
Yeah, the guy. Yeah.
The one that rode off at the end on a jet ski? I still have a car.
I did meet him. He's super sketchy. I knew Jeff. Jeff's an interesting person. I met, Jeff Lowe.
What about
I met his wife, I guess.
What about the hired hitman?
Yeah, Alan. So we called him Mr. Clean because he looks exactly like Mr. Clean, right?
He does.
He is a lot of fun to hang out with. A great drinking buddy, but he did a lot of drugs in his day, and so his head's not all there. So I could 100% see him thinking that Joe had offered him to, killed Carol, but at the same time, I could see him that not actually happening, and it was just all in his head. He hated Joe from the moment he met Joe, so I really don't know what's up with that. Same thing with Joe, the whole murder for hire thing. I doubt he did it simply because the entire time I knew him, he wanted to put the bullet in her himself. He had an actual bullet with her name on it, literally. So the fact that he would hire someone to do that doesn't make any sense.
So how much of that rivalry was kind of played up for the documentary, or did he just really hate her that much?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Did they play up the rivalry at all for the documentary, or did he actually dislike her that much?
Oh no, he hated her. You can actually go to his old YouTube channel, Joe Exotic. I don't know if it's .tv or if it's just Joe Exotic Live, something like that. And that was where all the footage from his live show is. And you can literally see all the footage that you saw in the documentary. You can see the footage they used in his conviction trial, everything. He hated her in every single, that wasn't staged whatsoever. So back before the studio burnt, this is before I was actually there, they had an actual kind of wooden building for the video studio. And there was literally bullet holes riddled throughout because he would get so upset talking about Carol that he would fire his gun inside the building. I didn't believe it at first, but they had salvaged a green screen or something from it, and there was literally bullet holes all over it. So back before the studio burned, this is before
Oh, sorry. That was me.
Sorry?
No, there was an echo there from the audio. So were you there around the time that he was running for president, or was he running for mayor?
So I came in 2017, so that was after he had lost, but he was running for governor. And that was the big thing he was going for. He was planning on running for 2020, and now I know if he's still on the ballot for 2020. I don't know how that's going to work since he's in jail. I think that immediately disqualifies him, but something.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Trump,
I was there for governor.
Joe Exotic. Trump, Joe Exotic. I don't know. Would you vote for him over Trump?
Over Trump? No. That would, no.
It's kind of like trading one circus for another.
Well, yeah. Did he ever hit on you? Was he very flirty at all, or?
No, he only went after people that he knew was either he knew he could try to sway them over, or I don't really quite know how he chose his guys. But usually, he went after the people that actually spent time with him and whatnot. Although I was there, I was kind of like the silent guy behind in the corner shooting with the camera. We didn't talk a whole lot other than what was going on with the show. We didn't have anything outside of work kind of thing. So no, he didn't go after me. There was another guy that was working at the studio. I think he probably would have tried to get with him, but he ended up quitting like 2-3 weeks in.
So is there a Joe Exotic sex tape out there?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is there a Joe Exotic sex tape out there? Because he seems like he would film that.
A sex tape?
There probably is. That I know, like, I didn't shoot one, so
All right.
there probably is one somewhere, though.
So, coming into this, what was your initial thoughts as far as your involvement and like everything going on? Was it believable that that there was a purpose, that there was this was something that and I'm saying from the beginning that had promise, or did it seem as if this was just something to cater to his ego? Or was it about the animals?
So that's what that's hard to explain. So he opened up the zoo as a memorial for his brother. His brother died in a car accident due to a drunk driving incident. And he was a big animal person. Joe really wasn't. So he opened up the animal park as a memorial for Joe, or from Gerald, his brother. And then he wanted to build it up to be the biggest animal park in his name. And then after that, he got into the whole lawsuit with Carol, and that's when it became this whole shit show. It never was for the animals. It was always for his brother, and then after that, it was for his ego. Once he got the cameras running and started his own show, that's apparently when he's changed. Like I said, I came in 2017, so that was after me. This is pretty much just going from what I've heard from people that were around for that long. Yeah, it was never for the animals.
Now, Jack Warren, who came out with the book I Saw a Tiger, who was narrating throughout the Netflix, and I've seen some of his past work, seems like a straight shooter. How close did you get to know or work with him?
I'm sorry, which guy?
Jack Warren, is it? Chainsmoker?
I wasn't in the documentary.
So that was separate?
Yeah, no, it was separate. They used some of the footage I shot, but I worked for Joe personally. I wasn't actually shooting the documentary. That was a different crew.
Okay. Man, so you were in there. And did he take care of you guys as far as sleeping and eating, and how did he treat the staff as far as that goes?
Oh no, he did not treat us well at all. The best thing he did was he gave us a place to stay. He gave us those trailers, which were not good. My trailer was infested with mold that he said he was going to clean. And to be fair, he cleaned some of it, but he left the mold, so that ended up turning into black mold, and I ended up getting black mold poisoning, which, you know, anything what that does, it really messes with your lungs.
Wow.
As for food and whatnot, we lived out in the boondocks. It was like 3-4 miles away to like a convenience store. The only food that we could really get was at the park, which meant you got to go into the burger bar or something or other. But we didn't get lunch breaks. It was very rare that we got a lunch break. So we worked 14 hours a day, 6 days a week, and we were living off pretty much cigarettes.
Wow. Which is
yeah. One of the guys in the show, Eric Cowie, he works 7 days a week, 14 hours a day. He doesn't take a day off unless he's sick. And the reason that we did this stuff and we didn't like complain or whatever, or brought it up to anybody, was the fact that you're working with these animals, you're not going to have this opportunity ever again. So you get this kind of like an adrenaline rush, and you get connected with these animals. That's the reason that you stick around and you put up this kind of abuse and stuff.
Was there a lot of injuries throughout tapings that you were involved in?
There was one. There was a person, I'm not going to kind of say who, but they ended up getting, I don't know what they were trying to do, but we had, I called them tiger toddlers because they weren't full-grown tigers, but I think they were like 2 years old. Not even that. No, it could have been that. It'd be like full size. It was only a couple months old, but they were like, they're about the size of a big dog, right?
Okay.
And we had a 10 of them that they kind of stayed in until they got big enough where they get their own kind of pen and whatnot. But for whatever reason, this person decided to stick their hand inside and like try to pet one or something. Ended up getting their arm. They didn't lose their arm, but it ended up getting pretty scratched up pretty bad. Like you could see the fat in the bone and all that. And so we had to like stitch her up and whatnot.
Were you there when an employee did get their arm ripped off?
No, that was about, I want to say 2 years before I got there. But she stayed the entire time. I think she's still there, or she just left after the whole conviction with Joe. Because she was...
From what I remember, I had watched the entire series. She was there until the end of at least the series on Netflix.
Yeah, most of those the people you saw is still there, except I think Saz left. And then I think there's 2 other people that left. That was pretty much it.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So what is the most uncomfortable moment during your time there? Then your favorite.
So, like I said, there was a lot of everybody was ex-con, right? So my roommates had all done time. One of them was a sex trafficker. Another one had killed a guy, and then another one was did some serious drug distribution for Oklahoma. I don't know if she worked for the cartel, but since the cartel did most of the kind of drug distribution around here, I'm going to guess she did. I never believed her because everything that came out of her mouth was usually a lie until I came into the trailer one day and there's $3 million in cash sitting on the table.
Wow. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Were you involved in any of the production on his music videos or music his music, I say lightly?
No, he did most of that before I got there. We were supposed to do another one, but he never got around to it. So it just didn't happen, but
I legit thought that was him singing. But then I found out otherwise. And I'm like, wow, okay.
No.
That's weird.
No, what's worse about that is like he hired a guy, I believe it was out of Austin, that would write. I'm pretty sure he wrote the songs and he also sang the songs. I highly doubt Joe ever did anything other than lip sync and do the videos. But he had this package at the zoo that you could buy when you got there. It was like a $75 add-on to like the tour and whatnot, where he would sing happy birthday to the customers if it was their birthday or whatever. And we had, I think, 2 or 3 people that actually bought it. And Joe would try to sing them happy birthday, and it just sounds like nails on chalkboard. He cannot sing whatsoever. So they were not happy about it. So I think they ended up getting refunds or something, but it didn't end well.
I still think he burned down the studio.
Probably. He always blamed what's his name? Rick Kirkman. He always blamed him that he did it, which doesn't make any sense because that was his footage there. That was his kind of retirement plan. So, I mean, it only makes sense that he was the one that did it. The only person that would have kind of tried to do that was Carol. She would try to hire someone down here to burn it down, but if she did that, that means she loses, because she technically owned everything in that studio because of the lawsuit. So she was able to liquidate anything Joe had. So anytime that she would try to get anything that Joe owned, he would burn it or destroy it. So she stopped trying. So why would she try to blow up the studio when she technically owned everything in it?
Right.
So, yeah, one of those things.
So how long have you been doing? Was that me? Yeah. There we go. So how long have you been doing this kind of work?
Video work. I started. When did I start? I believe it was like 2014. I joined the zoo 2017. After the zoo, I pretty much stopped doing video work and went straight to doing commercial photography. So I did that for a while.
Nice.
Yep.
I could use you on hand.
Okay.
I said I could use a guy like you. Well, so
One more time.
I saw the Joe Exotic TV that he put out, and I mean, I've only saw a couple episodes or whatever. But what was his intentions with that? Did he ever did he ever look to try to, land on a network or be on cable TV? Was he?
So he started it to kind of combat Carol, because Carol was doing video work as well. She was doing some YouTube little vlogs and whatnot about the park, and she had ended up building up a kind of following. And how the whole lawsuit went down is she would contact malls that Joe was going to for like this little petting zoo kind of thing, and would tell them that Joe was this horrible person, the cats were, being mistreated, that and the other, so the malls would cancel on him, and he ended up losing like 75% of his income was from that. So he decided he was going to get back at her by copying her logo and saying that he was her and going and still doing the same things and pretty much trashing her name. So that's where the whole copyright thing went on. So after the lawsuit, he wanted to try to combat Carol because he had so much bad press on him now because she had pretty much started a war, just kind of putting his name down. So he wanted to kind of rebuild that up. And after he started doing that, it ended up being hey, I'm on TV or I'm on the internet. I'm this famous person. And he never really was famous. He always thought he was, but he never was until the Tiger King documentary came out.
Yeah, it definitely seemed that way. Anytime he was on the camera, he was, talking to the world. He definitely looked very highly on himself. And had like a diva persona. Now, he always carried a gun on him, and it didn't really come through as much, but was that in case he was attacked by one of the tigers or animals?
So he actually carried two. He had a 45, and I believe he had a 9mm. It might have been two 45s, though. That he had strapped one on his hip, one on his I believe it was leg. He said it was because the tigers would attack him, but usually it would scare off like animal activists, or we had a few people that would try to commit suicide on the zoo, and they'll like run and try to jump into the tiger pens. We had to like pull them down and whatnot.
Oh my god!
So that's really what it was for. Yeah, people are crazy when it comes to animals. I don't know what it is.
I mean, that'd be kind of like that'd be one hell of a way to go, man.
Right, keep the blood off of anybody else's hands and just let the tigers do the dirty work.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, all these tigers have been, domesticated. They don't know how to kill. Like, we have, like, birds, like chickens and stuff that run around the park, free roam, because they'll eat, like, the ticks and the bugs and stuff. And some days they'll get inside the tiger pens, and we'd come in the next day, and we'll find, like, a fully plucked chicken just sitting on top of the pens. Like, all kinds of terrified and shocking and whatnot, and like the tigers are just playing with feathers. So even if the guy jumped into the pen, he wasn't going to get killed.
Yeah, because they were domesticated. They were inside the park. They weren't out in the wild.
Exactly. They don't really know how to kill.
Right.
Wow. And I never thought about that, which kind of hurts them. Was there? I mean, I don't know. Was there ever any intent to release into the wild, or is it just once they get old enough they're sold or killed?
You can't really release those guys back into the wild. The best you can do is build up some kind of like large sanctuary, like an open field or something, and fence that off. You can't really take a domesticated cat and put it back in the wild. It's going to end up dying. So that's the reason why that's one of the reasons we have so many of these tigers and big cats in these pens, because if we put them back out in the wild, they're going to go extinct. So
we hear a lot about tigers, but there were other animals in the zoo. And when it comes to that, did he play favorites with any certain animals, or?
There was one. I believe it was a male liger, which is a tiger dad, liger mom. Which, yeah, Joe is a genius when it came to certain stuff. But that was kind of the one that was his pride and joy, because that shouldn't have ever happened. apparently ligers or like they're infertile, so they can't breed. And the fact that that one was able to come out as a male and actually be a thing was just insane.
Did you ever get to see any of the on-site surgeries that he performed?
Other than the one where the girl got ripped up and we had to sew her up, that was about it.
And is he licensed for anything like that, or is that just kind of a quick
No,
Band-Aid?
That was kind of, it wasn't a Band-Aid, but like we actually sewed it up and whatnot. But no, he is not licensed to do any of that.
I mean, he's definitely an intelligent guy in a way to where he figures things out. I mean, you got to give it to him on that. Whether it's like marketing, advertising, he caught on quick when Baskins was using the internet to, spread the reach. And not only did he counter that, but took advantage of it. When it came to the animals, he was very knowledgeable. Overall, knowing him as much as you got to, what's your general feel about the guy?
I think he is a genius, but at the same time, it's one of those things. Anybody who is that smart always comes with that much crazy. There's not like a middle ground. So I have mad respect for the fact that he was able to do everything that he set out to do, but at the same time, he's just absolutely crazy.
I was just thinking the same thing. They've always said that genius always comes with a little bit of madness thrown in there. You can't have one without the other.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
definitely.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. My kind of crazy to just go for it. Do it.
Right.
I have Levi and Alexa with me in the studio. You guys have questions or anything?
So what made you decide to leave the park?
Why did I leave the park, so Jeff?
Yeah.
So I left while I was working at the park. I owned a small retail store about 2 hours away, and my manager had ended up quitting, so I had to find a replacement. So instead of finding a replacement, I decided to go down there myself. I got in a dispute with Joe. I would say a dispute. I ended up just walking away from it. There was an issue with one of my the camera guys. They had either gotten bad information or they'd misunderstood some information, but they had screwed up on one of the tours because we also took the photos of the customers interacting with the animals and whatnot. So Joe ended up having 3 customers come back wanting refunds because they got some bad pictures. So instead of docking our pay for the 75 cents it cost to make a disc, he charged us the full price that the disc cost, and it was actually more because math didn't add up right. So we made like $300 a week, and that went down to like $125.
Wow.
So at that point, I said it wasn't even worth it. If you do the math, you're making less than $3 an hour.
Right.
So
did you ever
that's
think?
the reason why.
Did you think going through this that it would blow up the way it did?
No, I still say this should have never happened. The fact that this has ever, any of this stuff has come out and has blown up the way it has, it's just insane. I don't understand why everybody's so infatuated with any of these guys. It's just crazy.
I know. I had one of my sisters had told me that she had watched the first 3 episodes and invited me to watch it too. So I sat down and watched the first 3 and ended up watching the whole thing within a day and a half. And just thought, wow, this is really crazy. I thought everyone was just nuts for going gaga over it, and I sat down, it was like a train wreck. I'm like, you want to turn away, but then every episode some new thing happens, and it's like, well, now I can't turn it off. I got to see what happens next with this guy, that guy, and the other.
Yeah,
the worst part is...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Everybody's so infatuated with Joe because they want to get him out of prison because, he was probably friends. But the issue is even if they get him like a retrial and whatnot and they can take those charges up, he's going to be in jail for the same exact amount of time served because he killed and sold the tigers.
Right.
They didn't have enough evidence to give him a full sentence. He'd be in there for life if that was the case.
Do you think
he's only in there for like 20 years?
Was it 22 or?
It's 22 years without parole, but at the same time, he's so old. Like, by the time that sentence is up, he's probably going to be dead.
Yeah, it's basically a life sentence at this point.
Yeah.
Do you think that was fair?
I mean, yeah. To be honest, he should be in jail for a lot more than what he is right now. So,
wow.
If it wasn't for Carol Baskin, he would have found a way to get in jail for something else.
Right.
Now, let's say he was to get out. Do you think that that would pose a threat to either animals or Carol Baskin? Let's say if he got out.
No. No, I'm pretty sure he's done. I think he's gotten exactly what he's wanted. And now he is famous. I think he's just going to kind of run with that for the rest of his life.
What about you? Did this help you, you know, once the Netflix series came out and everything started blowing up? I mean, was that something that at least maybe gave opportunities for you, or gave you a chance to take advantage of your experience?
Yeah. The whole fact that this is blown up is the whole reason why I decided to write the book. I had a few friends that were telling me to do it for a while now, but I didn't want to do it simply because of the likelihood of a lawsuit was pretty high. Joe is lawsuit heavy, even though he doesn't have money.
Yeah.
And the fact that technically he doesn't own the zoo now. Jeff doesn't own the zoo now. The person that does own the zoo is Carol, and since she isn't really in the book, so there's no reason why she could have sued me. So I'm at one of those kind of lucky areas where everything just kind of fell into a way to where the story's going to come out and it's not going to be kind of censored or anything.
So, are you currently in the process of writing the book?
It is pretty much done. It's currently being edited. It's actually set to be released on June 15th.
Of this month, this year?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
about
around
2
the
weeks.
corner.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Yep. Well, I'll definitely be in touch with you, and you know, I really appreciate you coming on and everything, taking your time. I wanted to do this on the 17th, but I was excited, and I just got all kinds of new equipment and everything, and set up a studio room, and we had to go with it. So maybe you know, if you don't mind even coming back on, and we can kind of promote the book and get that out there.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Love to get my hands on it myself. This is what I get for having. I got an open window, so like, never in the almost a year I've been here has there been. I've seen every kind of ATV, motorcycle, dirt bike just go through the front yard, back and forth while we're doing this. That's awesome.
Just got to see a tiger now.
A tiger in there. So June 15th, the book comes out. Do you have a title?
It's called I Saw a Tiger.
Look at that. And it's
just like the music video.
It's right there above me. I saw a tiger. So yeah, man. If you don't mind,
what I mean,
come back on June 17th after a couple days after its release, and just do a quick spot for it. I'd love to have you back on.